Hello, this is Jay again. There are a few things I wanted to drop in before the episode starts. One, Meredith will be back next month. We will be talking about a movie that she has mentioned in the end of the first episode. Two, the composer of this podcast intro and outro music, Pup Celeste, is soon moving out and needs some money. I would like you all to donate some to her moving expenses. Her Ko-fi link address is www.ko-fi.com/pupceleste. That's PUPCELESTE. 3. There are protests going on around the world, and we recorded this during the NoKing protest on June the 14th. If you're still planning to go outside and participate in local demonstration, here are my advice. Have your mask up, have your goggles on, bring a water bottle, carry some extra cash, don't take photos of protesters, have your phone airplane mode on, and write down emergency contact and legal counsel number on your arm. Stay safe wherever you are. Finally, this will be a very special episode in a way that it is perhaps our first not safe for work episode. We will be talking about the lowest of the lows in the history, and it will contain some triggering subjects. To list most content warning, the mention of both actual and alleged sex offenders, such as the Marquis de Sade, Roman Polanski, Bill Cosby, Justin Roiland, and John Kricfalusi. Sexual assault, rape jokes, corporophilia, fascism, furries, a talking penis, and live-action remake of Disney animated movies. And also, this podcast is not sponsored by Raytheon. And spoiler for Marquis, Quills, The Tenant, and etc. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Reanimate This Podcast. I'm Jay Wang, and here I'm with one of the new rotating co-hosts. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm Madzy Williams. I make little animations and met you through the television open calls.
In case if you don't know, the television is still... Well, okay, they just opened up the new call, and it's for it's asking for making animation based on like your own fable, but a lot more hellish theme, or like very demonic theme. So if you're interested, you could join right now. So how's your day, Madzy?
It's all right. Kind of a lot of French Revolutionary sort of vibes going on out there today.
Yeah, I agree.
Kind of appropriate for what we're doing.
Yes, a lot. So we are going to talk about this French movie called Marquis. It's from the year 1989. It's directed by Henri Sunu, and which he also wrote, and with author by the name of Roland Topor. So to give you a summary, it's a very, very loose retelling of the life of Marquis de Sade, especially during his incarceration period, both during the revolution and also during the Napoleon years. and the filmmaker decided to combine them both, and the twist is that all the characters are anthropomorphic animal, and all the actors wear this like animatronic animal mask.
I think the
Oh,
go
what are
ahead.
you trying to say? Sorry.
I was just saying they're so grotesque.
Yeah, I agree. Not only that, so the main character is, well, obviously a Marquis, just the Marquis, and he just happens to be based on Marquis de Sade. And boy, we're gonna unpack a lot of things about Marquis de Sade today. So the reason why, oh, I forgot to mention, this movie has a talking penis, a literal talking penis.
Main character,
Yes.
the only one that goes through growth.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Literally.
Right, and I don't know. Is it okay if I apologize to you for making you watch this?
Yes, please apologize.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about putting you through all this. And yeah, I mean, we'll get to just vent out our feeling to this right after I made my own pitch. So the reason why I picked this because most of the time it felt like someone tried to make a live action adaptation of a late night animated show, like adult animated show that can only be shown at very late at night. I'm sorry, I'm making this a bit redundant. Yeah, someone made a live action adaptation of late night adult animated show that you would see on MTV or Adult Swim. That's how it really feels. And I wanted to reimagine that as an actual, adult animated show. But
that's
so
it's insane. It deserves insane treatment.
Right, and yeah, from there on we're gonna vent out our feelings and work around through why I made that pitch, and along with some production background and historical background, etc. So let's see. So Matthew, but before I share my personal thought on this movie, I want to hear your thought. So, what you like about it, or what you don't like about it?
Did you say Madeline or
Matthew?
Oh,
or yeah, Madeline. Is it okay if I call you Madeline?
You can call me Madzy. I heard Matthew for a second there.
Okay.
All right, let's snip this. All right, my thoughts on that on this film are, what the hell did I just see? It felt very surreal, which I'm usually a fan of, and a bit excessive, which, given the subject matter, makes sense. And I did notice a couple of nods here and there. But I really feel like I would have enjoyed this film more if they had focused on the pig and the wolf characters. Because, I mean, that's where the real story is taking place about the revolution. This film is just about the Marquis de Sade having stuff happen to him, essentially. So it's a very strange film in that regard. The puppetry, I mean, hey, I'm not going to criticize someone's vision. Apparently, they wanted it that way. It's reminiscent of the collaborators of this film made a TV show for kids.
Yeah, Teleshop.
Yeah, and it looks very similar to that. So it's the stuff they're comfortable with, and I guess they were successful enough with to get this film greenlit. So it's not particularly my taste of puppetry or animation, but yeah, it was an experience. I'll say that. I'm used to watching just like really violent and gory stuff, not sexual content like this. So yeah, but my thoughts on this film are I could have done without watching it.
So okay, so you're like you tend to like weird stuff, but this is just too much for you.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, the whole talking penis character, it just threw me off.
I mean, yeah, yeah. This is like I don't know what to say. And actually, when I
They-
first time watching it, I didn't love it, or I just felt very ambivalent to this. Yeah, I mean, look, I've seen some weird stuff. Well, not exactly the weird stuff, but more like is what like art house. I have seen art house drama that is just too much for me. For example, I remember watching this movie called High Life with Robert Pattinson in theater, and it was one of those movies I thought that I might gonna love it, but then I was like, nah, this is just too much for me.
It's like Sausage Party for me. I was like, I'm gonna love this movie.
Right.
No, not really.
I tried to watch Sausage Party. It just I don't know how should I put it. It has that problem that most adult animated materials has, like rely too much on sex joke and shock values.
Yeah. You know what made it worse for me is I took my daughter there to see it with me.
Oh my! Wait! You said your daughter?
Yeah. Well, she was 16, so it wasn't that bad, but it was uncomfortable.
Oh, I see. Oh,
So I give Marquis high marks for not being seen with my daughter.
I mean, if I have to give Marquis some credit, that in my opinion, it's not very excessive because at least there's some interesting justification. Like it's loosely based on Marquis' thought and his writing.
Yeah, exactly.
You probably expect the interplay of sex and violence you will see in his writing and a lot of depiction of sadism. In fact, that's where the word sadism came from. It is named after the Marquis. I'm pretty sure everyone almost know that.
Yeah.
And one of the characters is a dominatrix with a horse head, and she's named after like one of Marquis de Sade's female protagonists. Her name is Juliet.
And the other woman in the film, the bovine, just is also named after.
Yeah.
It's sort of a contrast because the Justine and the Marquis de Sade's novels is very pure and moral and just has horrible things happen to her. Whereas Justine is the one that is a dominatrix, really, you know, goes around and murders people and stuff. So I thought that was a good, interesting nod and good construction on that.
From the second time watching, actually impressed like how there are a lot of, okay, not too much, but there are some, you know, Easter eggs of the French literature at that time, and or at least French literature that directly dealt with revolution. Okay, alright, spoiler. We are gonna spoil it all. One of the subplot of this movie is Justine, the cow lady who lives in the Bastille with Marquis. And she's pregnant with, well, allegedly pregnant with the king's baby. And there was like, I don't know, I think there was like people trying to make her confess who the actual father is, etc., etc. And then they tried to conspire to make Marquis the father of that child. And then when Justine finally goes into labor and gave birth to the child, and the baby, you know, comes up with an iron mask, which is a reference to the legend of the man with an iron mask, which was later became a basis for the last of the like Three Musketeer trilogy by Alexander Dumas.
True.
Actually, when I watched it the second time, I laugh out loud. Like,
Cette Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Montrez-moi mon enfant. Le masque de fer.
Tenez Ambert pour vos langoustes.
I like the name of the baby, lobster food.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of lobster, motif. Like there's even like one scene where I think like a rat guard gets it literally ass fucked by a lobster. Like
It was a crawfish. It wasn't a lobster.
okay, yeah, crawfish. Yeah, that actually crawfish.
C'est bon. Je ne regrette pas d'avoir attendu si longtemps. Bouge pas, trop vite. Je veux que ça dure.
I think that was important though, because like a crawfish is sort of like a ghetto lobster, right? And so like it's meant it's like, you have all the illusion of royalty and finery, but I mean, you're getting an imitation, and it's just like the guy got an imitation up his ass, really.
God, and I don't know.
That was a wild scene. Like, this guy will fuck a wall, but he won't get close to the rat guard's ass. So,
yeah, the wall is anthropomorphized. Like it literally has boobs and face and like fucking eyeballs.
Faites excuse, madame. C'est pour le petit. Il n'en peut plus.
and it doesn't say a thing. It's like, why are you making this anthropomorphic? It has no lines or anything.
The co-writer Roland Topor. I mean, if you look into his art, like if you look into his illustration, he does anthropomorphize anything, especially with like lady body parts. Like I don't know. Like I wish I could share you. I mean, hold on. I will share you the note that I took, and then I actually compiled his illustration. Hold on. He did a lot of illustrations that look something out of this manga series called Parasite. Like the hand having a mind of its own, etc.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, these characters, they were represented pretty much the same in the film here.
Yeah.
I was only familiar with Roland Topor's work through Fantastic Planet, which is like my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, and actually, what I'm thinking of that, if I wanted to, turn Marquis into like an adult animated show for late night audience, it would probably look something like Fantastic Planet, but X-rated.
Oh, I was thinking the complete opposite, like Looney Tunes. I mean, they've already got the animated characters. It's slapstick kind of comedy. And the stories really, I think, would have worked better as little vignettes, like 11-minute shorts, because it really doesn't have a lot of glue to keep this story moving,
Right. I mean, I realized how most of the time it felt like a slice in life comedy kind of way. Just things go very episodic, like, oh, this happened, and then that happened, and then that happened. Like, there's barely any like character arc. Well, maybe the whole Justine.
Right. And all the while, like, the Marquis is just like, either do I have sex or not have sex? Do I talk to my penis or do I not talk to my penis?
And he even named his own penis Colin or Colin.
Je leur apprendrai à jouer du cul. À temps par mois.
Parfait. Continue.
Et il me semble déjà voir une dandon qui n'a plus que 6 mois à passer pour finir la quarantaine. M'offrir la molle épaisseur d'une ample.
Chut. Allez en coulisses. Dans la culotte.
Oh man, it's insane. And like, you know, I would at the end of the cartoon play King Missile's detachable penis, given that he and his penis part ways on friendly terms.
Yeah. At the end, like his Colin kissed, quote unquote kissed, so Juliet, the horse lady who committed suicide or sewer slide at some, and then Marquis found her body, and then she was laying there, and then Colin like decided to kiss her, and then just miraculously she came alive like a Disney princess.
M'est égal. Je veux l'embrasser. Oh, un ange.
L'amour, plus fort que la mort, disait Justine.
This is a bad message to send future rapists of the world.
I know.
Your penis will fix anything.
Oh dear. And the movie literally ends on the Bastille Day, July 14th, which is a 1 month away from now.
Qui fait mon malheur, c'est celle des autres.
God, what a weird coincidence that we are talking about movies about French Revolution, and then the freaking NoKing protest gonna happen today.
Yeah, they're already going on.
Yeah. So when you look into the people behind this movie, so when you learn more about them, and it's not particularly surprising how the way the movie it is, like only the new previous work, like before he did Teleshot, was a lot of like adult sex comedies.
Oh, that's
The director of this movie, like before he did Teleshot with Roland Topor, he made some couple of like sex comedies in Belgium.
Yeah, I can see the sex farce in this film for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising that he went from making like a very raunchy comedy to making like, I don't know, like a Belgian equivalent to Sesame Street. He was very successful, like when it came out. But however, they lost interest in, from what I heard. So the Zanu, Topor, and their producer, they're having experienced some success, but then they sort of lost interest, so they decided to end it at the season 3 when they had a chance to just keep going on, but then they're like, nah, we just want to move on to something else. And then they made a very and then they made their own, I don't know, like Meet the Feeble.
Yeah. I was thinking of that at the very beginning when I saw that, when I first started watching Marquis. But it's, I don't know, Meet the Feebles is relentless and way more gross, I think, than the Marquis, actually. It's just, it's so shocking to see just, sexual body parts and that stuff with the udders.
Oh God!
And the rat that's just like, the rat is sex obsessed.
Et peut-être.
Troué. Il m'a prise à travers la dentelle, mon père.
And he steals the baby too at the end. So like, he's the only one that gets to raise the children in this film.
Son dalmatien sur la poitrine, le pauvre Ambert va de l'avant. Il monte en haut de la colline, montre la mère à son enfant. Il voudrait bien que je t'assassine, mais je suis loin d'être aussi méchant. Que leur Bastille, elle tombe en ruine. pour mieux s'enfuir tant qu'il est temps. Il y a d'autres prisons en Angleterre. On y gagnera notre pain blanc. Puisque t'es le fils à ton père, tu seras geôlier quand tu seras grand.
I mean, throughout the movie, he was very obsessed with Justine. Like, he
And
wants to...
the Marquis.
Oh, right.
In fact, I think he was jealous of Justine, and that's why he was so violent with her.
Right. Oh, man. I was like, why is this in, like, live action puppet? I mean, okay, I want to talk more about Roland Topor before there's, like, one take that I wanted to make. And I'm not sure if you would agree with me as an animator, but there's a lot interesting to say about Roland Topor because he was a very fascinating person. And someone actually described him as like a Renaissance man or a polymath, like the man who could do literally everything. He was very talented. Like, all right,
yeah, I'll agree. He
Yeah.
also wanted to be famous. And then they did a man on the street interview asking if they knew who Roland Topor was, and nobody knew.
C'est un grand peintre. Comme ça, je serais très célèbre, moi.
Si je vous dis Topor, à quoi ça vous fait penser? Un bateau. Pardon, madame, si je vous dis Topor, à quoi pensez-vous?
Like, all right, so I'm gonna give you like a brief biography of who Roland Topor is. So he was a son of a Polish Jew living in Paris. However, around the time he was born, France was under a Nazi occupation, and then his father Abraham was registered because back then Jewish people in Paris has to be registered, and he got sent to intern camp somewhere in France. And when his father, along with other inmates, found out that they're sending to Auschwitz, and they made a very successful escape, surprisingly successful escape. And then while in hiding, I mean, he went back to his family, and that's where he decided to hide, like in southern Paris. And then during his hiding, Roland and his family are living in an apartment that was owned by a very anti-Semitic old lady. And that old lady wanted to report where his father is located, and she kept pestering him a lot. So the rest of his family fled out of France, with him ended up staying in Paris with a French Catholic family under a false identity. And after the war, they got reunited, and then they sued that anti-Semitic landlady, and the court luckily sided with them. And they got all of their possessions back. However, they still have to pay their rent to that same lady. And I have a feeling that experience made him to write the novel Tenet.
Oh, he wrote
which was
that?
later. What are you trying to say?
I didn't realize he wrote that. Sorry.
Yeah, he wrote that book, which would later turn into a movie by Roman Polanski, and that movie was like the last movie that he made before he did that horrible thing to a 13-year-old.
I mean, there's a theme today, huh?
Yeah, and after I recorded this, I'm gonna pre-record like a content warning, like. Yeah, since we're gonna talk about Marquis de Sade, expect some very triggering part. Yeah, I did watch Roman Polanski's The Tenet as part of the research, and which I actually enjoyed it, and it does have that. It really captured that Kafkaesque feeling that the novel had. Yes, I also kind of read the novel. It's more like I put the auto read, like text to speech in the background while I was doing something else. The novel is very bonkers.
I haven't read anything or seen The Tenet, but I have seen a lot of Roman Polanski films. I'm not surprised.
I only watched like Chinatown and Rosemary's Baby, and The Tenet was what if Rosemary's Baby but for paranoid, neurotic men. Actually, it was like Beau is Afraid for 1970s. Have you seen the movie Beau is Afraid?
No, I haven't been able to catch that one yet. But I'm familiar with the story. it's right down my alley. But yeah, I mean that is a paranoid film for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
but that's a theme that Roman Polanski uses a lot, right? Wasn't Sisters sort of the same thing?
which sisters?
That's the Roman Polanski film where the woman, geez, I can't even remember the plot, but it has a lot of kind of like psychological mistrust of what you're seeing in it. So,
Oh,
hey,
right.
that was Rosemary's Baby as well.
I'm guessing you're referring to Repulsion.
Repulsion, yeah. Not why did I say Sisters? Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, it's been like I was like 12 when I saw it, so.
I tried to watch that one, but then I never completed it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But so yeah, and speaking of which, again, as part of my research, I watched like 2 movies related to Marquis de Sade, like Quills, which also stars Joaquin Phoenix as the priest. Which in Marquis, that priest is a camel because in real life that priest, like he was a hunchback.
Oh wow. Yeah, Quills was great. Jeffrey Rush really had an energy there that I felt suited the Marquis. In the movie Marquis that we watched, he was so just laid back and not really a lot of he was very internal focused, it seemed. Very reserved, even though his writings were wild, which may have been a choice. I mean, I like that choice.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it's very strange how Marquis made Marquis de Sade like a straight man to everyone.
Right.
When in reality he wasn't a straight man. And okay, here's my thought on Quill. I thought it was well made. Like everyone gave a really best performance, but it's one of those movies that really depressed me a lot.
I mean, yeah, I could see that.
Like surprisingly, I had a depression for like several hours.
You called them feel bad movies, right?
Yeah, it was really. I didn't expect it to be like, oh wow, I can't believe it made me feel bad. Like I was expecting to be like a Oscar-based costume drama. In fact, that's how that movie was marketed back then.
I remember. I mean, a lot of films back then sort of had. We're doing the opposite of like The Fifth Element with the love conquers all ending. And instead, they were doing, life sucks.
Yeah, I mean, initially, I was very bothered by how Quills, both the movie and the play, kind of gave Marquis de Sade the greatest showman treatment. Like, oh, he's a radical who look out for those who are disadvantaged. When in reality, he's not. He was just a really weirdo. It's not just weirdo. He actually harmed people. Like, right before revolution. Like the main reason why he went to jail because he killed someone. Like he killed a prostitute.
He poisoned her with Spanish fly.
Yeah, the same drug that Bill Cosby used.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yep, we're going there. I'm sorry. We're going there. Do you feel uncomfortable?
I mean, I'm always uncomfortable. It doesn't matter what we're talking about.
Quills was set during the time when he was also this time in a mental institution during the Napoleon era, and the movie framed it as if it's true that he went to the mental institution because he wrote Justine and Juliet, but in reality, but the movie, the movie framed that Justine was written when he was in the institution, when in reality it was long before the institution. Like, from what I heard, Napoleon read Justine and was disgusted by it, and then made an order to arrest Marquis de Sade. And in the movie, Jeffrey Rush was portrayed as some very what's the word, foppish. He just looks like just your normal aristocrat. Really, he was overweight, ugly, just a really mess of a human.
Yeah.
And he went there because, and all right, Joaquin Phoenix was the priest who operated that mental institution, and in Marquis, like again in Marquis, he's a camel because he has a hunchback. He has a hunch in his back.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
without knowing that stuff, it was like camel. That's not even part of the motif of the other animals here.
Right, and then in real life, his name is Abbe du Colmire, and what's interesting is that all right, I would argue that his characterization in Marquis, the puppet movie, is a lot more like, and what I mean, like his characterization in that movie was a lot more accurate in real life than in Quills. Like Quills kind of portrayed him as like someone who is struggling with faith, and only ends up becoming very met his like tragic end. But then
write it down.
Gibberish, my friend. He rants and he raves.
If you've announced of Christian charity, then you'll bring me parchment, ink, and a quill.
You'll do no such thing. This patient poses a grave danger to himself and to others.
in Marquis, he's more portrayed as an opportunist and a hypocrite and profit seeker, which, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's nobody's innocent in the world of Marquis de Sade.
5% sur le prix de vente.
Il s'agit d'un contrat type. Diderot l'a signé et il n'a pas fait d'histoire, lui.
300 pages dans le mois qui suit. Ce sera difficile.
Je tiens absolument à sortir le livre avant l'été 89.
Oui. Bon, j'y arriverai. Mais il me faut vous entretenir d'un problème délicat.
4000 guldens d'avance. Vous ne m'arracherez pas un écu de plus.
Il ne s'agit pas de cela. Vous comprendrez que, vu ma position sacerdotale, j'ai une nécessité de réserve. Je vais être obligé d'utiliser un pseudonyme.
Je saisis votre problème. Prenez le nom de confrère. Mirabeau, La Bretonne, ou même Voltaire.
Non. Non, je préférerais quelque chose de moins compromettant. Sade.
Sade?
Oui, S-A-D-E. Sans adresse de l'expéditeur.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it makes sense in his world. I mean, that's what he wrote about, was corrupt people and people in power who really don't deserve it, and abusing that. Quills was more just trying to get their Oscar, you know.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think I would say the Oscar nods. Well, they didn't want any Oscar, but however, they did. I would argue that they deserve some nomination. I'm not sure if they should have won anything, but still.
I mean, it's just that they set up the film that way. Like, you know, we're trying to get an Oscar here.
It is very unpleasant. That was a very unpleasant movie. I mean, I
feel like the next movie you watched was probably worse.
Yeah. The another Marquis de Sade related movie I watched was Salo, the very infamous Salo, 120 Days of Sodom by Pier Paolo Pasolini. Yeah, I mean, like
that was actually a book written by the Marquis de Sade, right?
Yes. And Pasolini, well, this was a movie he made right before he was murdered by someone else, and that is still a mystery to this day. Like, who and why someone would kill him. So, yeah, if I want to give you all some quick thought on Salo, well, I get the point, like, what kind of point that Pasolini tried to give me, but at the same time, I find him, and I don't want to, I don't want to trash this movie too hard. Like, I will give credits like cinematography and some set design and the production production design and costuming, etc. But I just find the movie to be boring. I mean, if you just get over the whole like shock factor, I just found it to be boring. I mean, I've seen like movies that are even more shocking than this one, and that didn't bore me. Like there's this movie from Mexico called We Are the Flesh, and that's perhaps the close like Mexican equivalent to Salo, because it also dealt with a very heavy political topic. But
so
I
the food choices in this film didn't bother you at all?
Oh, yeah, kind of. I mean, I don't know. I mean, so I don't know. I that food in question in Salo, I knew it was fake. Like I did try not to bother it. Okay, maybe there like one part that did bother me, like did gag me out a little, but I find that the Marquis death in Quills to be more that gagged me more. Like, oh, I actually literally felt being choked.
Ouch.
Like this character. Like, remember that scene where he commits suicide just swallowing and choking himself with Abe Colmir's like cross from his rosary?
Marquis! Marquis!
Hey,
Yo, that me
scene
more.
bothered you more?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I literally felt choked.
Wow. Okay, I'm probably way desensitized because that didn't faze me at all. But just thinking about eating poop makes me want to gag.
Funny because I had lunch an hour ago, but you know what, that doesn't matter because you know, even though we are talking about disgusting stuff, but you know that doesn't exactly gag me. But you know, moving on to the another segment, like so you know, there's one thing I wanted to bring up, like. And I also wanted to hear your perspective as an animator, but I feel like the first time I saw this, my thought was, I think a lot of animation fans would fucking hate this movie. Like, and what I mean by that is, it has everything that those like live action remakes from Disney have, except it's not based on like intellectual property.
I mean, thinking about the way Disney does films and the fidelity to like realism that the remakes have, I feel like this movie would be done a disservice if it was done too real.
And here's what I mean by that. All these animatronics, all these puppets, they all based on the realist illustration by Roland Topor. And as some animators and animation fans would argue how this is kind of stuff that you cannot replicate in live action. You could tell that it's all look fake and etc. etc. Like, I hear that. I mean, you probably heard that argument sometimes, and they tend to bring up the Wolfman argument. I don't know. They all make that same argument. I don't know. Did they teach you that in animation school?
What is the Wolfman argument?
When you watch this old Wolfman movie, I think the one with Lon Chaney, you could tell that it's just Lon Chaney and makeup, but when you watch animation, you could completely believe that it is a werewolf.
Okay, so what is that?
How certain medium dealt with verisimilitude or something.
So, I mean, I'm still not getting like what the argument is, though. Like, is it that it's better that you can tell that it's made, or
like it's an argument that why animation is better than live action thing.
Okay. I mean, I like being able to see the craftsmanship in animation, and like you get an individual artist sort of like vision when it's animated, which you can't always replicate in live action. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Marquis kind of feels like I mentioned, it felt like it was based on a late night animated show, like adult animated show that is never existed before, because all the animal animatronic would probably work better in like 2D animation. Funny because I watched a clip of that 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and in my opinion, it had a better animatronic than Marquis. Which is not to discredit the people making those puppet, because the puppets. I also watched the behind the scene footage of Marquis, and everyone seems to have a really fun time. And then you also see Roland Topor just looking over and such, smoking pipes.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a fun set, definitely from behind the scenes. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but
I know you probably get my point. Why that idea itself wouldn't work in live action, but then they made it anyway, and I actually admire they wanted to do something different with the puppetry, like the medium of puppet movies, but like make a genuinely adult puppet movie. But sure, you could have a poop humor. You can have sex humor, but we're gonna tell something that is more justifiable. Like when you which is complete contrast to something like Happyville Murder, or like I mentioned, you mentioned Sausage Party.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that you can go a little, you can cross the line too easily. I feel when you have no lines.
Which is right, because the live action, How to Train Your Dragon came out I haven't seen the movie, but I did watch the original How to Train Your Dragon in theater, and it was a decent movie, I must say. But I'm not sure. I have no opinion about the live action movie, but at least I'm glad that they brought in the same director. But I heard some complain about it's just too close to the original. But
I mean, that's what remakes are for, to make an easy buck. But so I have a question.
All right.
Why is it considered live action if you still have CG graphics in there as one of the main characters?
I mean, it looks photorealistic, I guess. I mean,
it's still
exploring that topic later on, in the next season. There's one movie I wanted to talk about. It's called Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and this is where I feel like this would probably work better.
I love Jonathan Livingston Seagull. That movie defined my life.
Yeah, I feel like that movie would probably work better with today's CG technology. I feel like
it was directed well. The editing was amazing. I was really I mean, we're not talking about Jonathan, but it captured.
Here's the thing. If I did that episode, I definitely invite you here, along with the probably the biggest fan that I know of, because this is where I'm gonna talk about that movie and how I think the 2019 Lion King movie would have been like this.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, but anyway, back to Marquis. So yeah, that's the one thing it kind of prevent me from loving this movie, is that I find the animatronic to be flawed.
What was the worst part about it to you?
The lip flip, it isn't convincing, and they all look very stone-faced. It's not very expressive. Much like how animation fans and Disney fans, and not all Disney fans, but along with professional animators, complain about live action remakes from Disney. They don't look expressive, and that's why I said, I think animation fans would hate this.
Well, I mean, couldn't that be a representation of the shell that we put up that is hiding what's really going on underneath? And so on the surface, you were just still and static, but what's really going on is you're having crawdads shoved up your ass and cutting off your own leg to eat because you're addicted to pork. If you're a pig, I don't know.
Oh God.
I was trying to go somewhere.
Yeah.
No, I mean I understand what you're saying. The whole thing was ADR.
Yeah.
Not that I'd be able to tell because I don't speak French, but
Like, I mean, I brought up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the 1990 live action movie, and that had a better animatronic because at least, the turtle face is very expressive very well, much like, I believe, I'm not sure what came before or after. Did the live action movie came before the cartoon show, or the cartoon show came before the live action movie? I didn't
cartoon before.
Okay. So, you're aware that the cartoon is a lot lighter than the original Kevin Eastman comic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. By the way, back then I didn't know Kevin Eastman was involved in like the English version of Heavy Metal magazine.
Oh, that's a Roland Topor kind of magazine if there ever saw one.
Yeah, I feel like this is very much up in Roland Topor's alley. and yeah, Roland Topor. I just realized that he's very much his own character. Like he looks like he exactly like his illustration.
Well, he had a tragic life.
Mostly, and oh yeah, I forgot to mention, like he was a colleague of Alejandro Jodorowsky, like one of my favorite film director, and he and Fernando Arrabal started this like performance art movement called Panic Movement, which they believe that they think that surrealism of that era was too mainstream and too soft, and they decided to go more radical, which explains a lot about Jodorowsky and Topor.
Yeah. You're not gonna find some mainstream surrealism in Jodorowsky, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I like about Jodorowsky. It's like there are no convention in his. The Holy Mountain is one of the rare movies that defies every single thing, and that's why I love it. That's why I actually felt the magic of filmmaking, and that's how infinite the live action filmmaking feel. I think some people, especially like some professional animators, felt about Fantasia. But alright, my unpopular opinion, I didn't care for Disney's Fantasia, but I acknowledge that some people did care for it. Like they love it.
Did you see it in the theater?
No, I watched it on VHS as a kid. But
it's a different experience. It's more like you're going to the symphony with some visuals, and that's I think what people liked about it. But
okay. But
I mean, that's why I was so impressed. I mean, that night on Broad Mountain.
If there was one animated movie that I watched as a kid that actually made me more like made me like fell in love with the animation as a medium, that not only that does a lot more than that would be My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh,
like it's not just made me feel love, but it made me convinced that how animation could be anything, but it also visual storytelling could be anything. That it did more than something that Fantasia did.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they're different beasts.
I know.
Totoro has a story.
Right.
And
so I chose this movie to redo as an animated movie, but not in a way like, oh, let's make it palatable for, public. No, I'm not gonna make it palatable for the audience. I'm gonna make it even more grotesque, even more vulgar, but not in like Sausage Party kind of way. I just wanted more expand on the theme found in Marquis.
So up the grotesquerie.
Yeah, much like Roland Topor's illustration. I want to capture that the feel of the Roland Topor's illustration, but as an animation. Like Fantastic Planet, the first time I watched it, I remember feeling very impressed by it. Like, oh, that's a very smart animated movie. But then now rewatching it like few days ago, I forgot how much of a heavy theme they are. Like, oh, I mean, I was back then. I noticed the theme, like anti-colonialist theme, but now knowing more about Roland Topor, I noticed like, oh god, there are a lot of like theme relating to genocide. And
You're talking about Fantastic Planet, right?
Yeah. I was talking about Fantastic Planet.
All right.
I forgot. Sorry, did I mention that movie? Sorry, but yeah, this is a PG-rated movie, and yet it functions like an adult movie, like R-rated movie that dealt with a very serious issue.
It shows boobies too.
Right, nudity. Look, I mean, France and the US have a very different perspective on human sexuality, and this is why in France that movie has like their equivalent to G rating, but weirdly enough, it got PG rating here when if it's rated today, it's either be PG-13 or at worst R.
Well, they didn't have PG-13 back when it came out.
Oh right, I just remember that PG back then was almost like PG-13. Like
there was a little difference. I mean, there were some movies rated G that were like they just slapped it on there and didn't put it through the ratings board, like Barren Blood. But I mean, they did that a lot with foreign films. I don't know why. Maybe because people that watched for the ratings board were snobs or didn't want to watch subtitles or whatever.
Right. Actually, there was like one foreign film that actually made Hays Code useless, which is like Michelangelo Antonioni's Blow Up, which I haven't seen, but I know that it's placed in movie history, that it was very successful in the US. It made MPAA realize, oh, I think that Hays Code is very irrelevant. We'll just have just regular rating system like G, PG, R, X, which back then, yeah, that's what the NC-17 rating was called, and porn theaters used like triple X to show that it's more than just X rating. You could see more sex and boobs and nudity. So that and the X rating has now been associated with pornography. It changed to NC-17, which is funny because I mentioned Quills, and that movie was directed by Philip Kaufman, and he directed perhaps the first NC-17 rating movie, Henry and June.
Oh, really? I didn't know Henry and June was NC-17. I've never seen it, but
yeah, so neither did I. But that's an interesting. It's one thing that I would like to mention. Like, I don't know what is with Philip Kaufman and authors. Like, his very last movie was about Ernest Hemingway. I don't know. He also did a film adaptation of Milan Kundera's novel, The Unbearable Lightness of Being. And
I gotta look up Kaufman. I don't remember what he's made.
He also did the remake of The Invasion of Body Snatcher. You know that internet meme of
that one, the 70s one?
Yeah, the one about like. Do you remember? Do you know the internet meme where Donald Sutherland pointing at the?
Oh, that is engraved in my brain. As a child, I couldn't sleep a lot of nights, so I was like, "Where's the pod?"
Yeah, that meme, like the Donald Sutherland pointing at the camera, like whoa.
That's screaming blood curling. Yeah, I like this director.
So back to what I was trying to say. So yeah, it probably looks like an animated take on his illustration, but even I feel like more animations should take advantage of surrealism, in my opinion. Like, instead of just making like pop culture references and like have a pop music, just I mean, if
so have you
take a full advantage of what animation could do well, especially like 2D animation could do well.
So I mean, I can see it as a Fantastic Planet kind of animation style because the visuals are so striking. But I feel like if you did that, you'd have to change the story to make it more action packed.
Right. Yeah, I realized that. Another thing I want to say, it probably looks like a living political cartoon, but with like etching style.
Yeah.
But this time it's with the furry animals, anthropomorphic animals. I'm not sure if furries would like this movie or the hypothetical animated remake that I just pitched. What do you think?
Well, I can't say I'm acquainted with many furries, but I mean, everyone likes to see themselves on screen. There's not very many characters here you could attach to as role models, I don't think, but
that's why it needs to be played late at night. Be on Adult Swim and TV, wherever.
I'm just scared about Colin cosplay.
Oh dear. I mean, God, that would put you on registry immediately.
Yeah, there's a list. The Colin heads have been too abused by the system.
Oh God.
Long suffering.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would like to focus on, like I said, the wolf and the pig. The actual revolutionaries trying to break out of the Bastille. I feel there's a lot of chemistry they have with each other.
4. Rien qu'au déjeuner.
4? Vous étiez 4 à table? Des noms.
4 grosses queues de langouste, mon lieutenant général. J'en peux plus. J'ai des suées.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Tu as volé une serviette?
Non. Un petit cadeau de la dame des bonnes œuvres. Oh, quelle mamelle! Une bouche à enfourner un salami entier.
Juliette.
And the reason I said I wanted it like more Looney Tunes like is specifically I could see a Porky Pig like character, doing the rosary thing across from a Daffy Duck but camel, this confessing their sins.
Celle-là.
Qu'est-ce que tu attends pour prier?
Une seconde, je prends l'almanach, mon lieutenant général. Saint Gérard, priez pour nous. Saint François d'Assise, priez pour nous. Saint Bruno, priez pour nous. Saint Frémont, priez pour nous. Saint...
Passe-moi la mayonnaise et prie plus fort. Ambert va nous entendre.
Saint Georges, priez pour nous. Sainte Pélagie, priez pour nous. Saint Denis, priez pour nous. Sainte Thérèse, priez pour nous. Saint Baudouin, priez pour nous.
Was his like partner camel? I don't think that's a camel.
I thought his partner was the wolf.
Yeah, I guess it's a wolf. It's a wolf. A camel is the priest guy.
Right, but he confessed his sins to the camel.
Oh
right?
yeah, that's
through a gate that you can see around, and you know exactly who you're talking to, and it defeats the purpose of the booth in confession.
J'ai certainement dû commettre d'autres crimes abominables.
Oh, cessez de parler de vous. Je vous ai déjà donné une absolution générale. Je vous certifie pur porc.
D'accord, je suis pur porc. Mais je ne suis pas cachère.
Oh, tu mélanges tout, ignare. Heureusement que tu n'es pas cachère.
Mais alors, je ne recevrai pas mes 24 chapelets et mes 12 crucifix?
Tiens, mais ce n'est pas par charité chrétienne. La prochaine fois, si tu ne nous révèles pas le secret de Lupino...
I don't know, does it really need to be like, what if Porky Pig, but even more corrupt?
Right, I mean, it goes against Porky Pig's character. That's why, it's...
Oh, what if Porky Pig without stuttering? but it turns out he was secretly a cannibal, like, he eats other pig kind.
So much of a cannibal, he can't resist eating himself.
Oh, self-cannibalism, wow, that's even more edgy. It's even more edgy than that George Carlin joke, like, oh,
okay.
That's what George Carlin. I mean, that's how he.
I love you, George Carlin, but that joke didn't land. But yeah, I don't know. That's the scene that stuck out with me the most was the pig. The
pig and the wolf.
Yeah, they're just they're very comical. I feel, even though they're involved in such high stakes activities.
Just wondering, have you seen the day the Earth blew up?
The day the Earth blew up? That
Yeah.
one does not sound familiar to me.
The latest Looney Tune movie that was in theater for a while.
Oh well, if it involved money, I did not see it.
That movie felt like if a TV special that ended up in theater. That's how I felt about the movie.
So it's in line with previous Looney Tunes releases to theaters, at least back when I was a kid.
Like, I don't know. People kind of treat this as if this was a masterpiece, but then like, it's just, I don't know. Maybe because I wasn't like a big Looney Tune fan. I think I'm more of a SpongeBob person.
I mean, it makes sense. You're way younger than me for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I assume. But yeah, growing up, Looney Tunes were the bad boys they were the Adult Swim of cartoons.
Yeah, I actually the one Looney Tunes short that I like was like Duck Amuck, the very famous one by I think like Tex Avery. Like Daffy Duck goes fourth wall.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it for like an ingenuity of it.
I mean that is a classic. I miss when Daffy Duck was just Daffy instead of a jerk. Because when he started out, he was just kind of loony and wacky. But anyway, this isn't a Looney Tunes podcast.
I know, but your description of like the pig and the wolf for being like, oh, that's like the movie's equivalent to Porky Pig and Daffy Duck. I kind of see it that way, but then they just don't have that similar personality because look, everyone in that movie is so corrupt. So like lowest of the lows.
No, this is like the film where
they're kind of somewhat bit sympathetic. They just kind of like more like I don't know, like a roguish people who just were at the wrong place at the wrong time.
And actually trying to instill revolution, and they were actually involved in doing things in the film,
right?
Like trying to escape and showing ingenuity, and really the Marquis was a pawn in their plans for the most part.
Yeah, and let's see, so I'm not gonna add like this. How should I put it? This very Chuck Jones-y or Tex Avery like facial expression, like eyeball popping out or making loud noises. I'm not gonna add that. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's appropriate for.
Look, every time Colin appears, it should go boing.
I just realized something. I think I sort of imagine it to be more something like Terry Gilliam like cutout animation? Because
oh yeah, I mean that's in the Roland Topor kind of style. Essentially.
I mean, what I liked about Fantastic Planets is just it's very calm. Like, it's so calm that you could able to take things very seriously, and you're very fully convinced by the social political subject matter, and Marquis kind of a similar thing, but I want the humor to be a lot more dry and let the audience kind of laugh at the absurdity rather than, hey, look, isn't this funny? Which for me that's like most of the Looney Tune cartoons are.
Well,
I mean, I'll admit that some of them made me laugh, but some of them are like, it's just typical slapstick.
I mean, that's the definition of slapstick. I mean, yeah, they were definitely, drawing from vaudeville for the Looney Tunes stuff. I don't know. The reason I suggested, making them more Looney Tunes like and adding slapstick stuff is the heavy subject matter of the Marquis, and yet it's got a sort of disconnect in the tone, because the tone is definitely whimsical.
Right. Wait until you see the Blu-ray remaster. I managed to see the footage of it while doing a research because there's like one French guy made a video of his own, and it like took 4 years to make. French YouTuber's name is Nicolas Delage, and I want to give a shout out to him. Bonjour Nicolas, si tu écoutes ceci, je voudrais te dire que ta vidéo sur le film Marquis m'a beaucoup aidé dans mes recherches. Merci beaucoup. So there's my bad French there. Désolé. So yeah, check out his channel if you speak French. But he was very helpful, and I saw the like a remastered, like a lot clean footage of the movie, and I'll admit that it's a lot more beautiful. And the one that I showed you, this happens to be like DVD rip, and it looked very dingy and dirty, like much like the Bastille, and which is very fitting with the overall tone. But the Blu-ray remaster felt very cozy, weirdly.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I kind of wouldn't expect that from. I mean, doesn't the 4K draw out even more how stiff the costumes are?
I don't know. It probably looked the same, but I believe it's not 4K. It's more like 2K. It's 2K
okay.
remaster. So not exactly 4K, but still, I mean, it looks more beautiful, at least in my opinion. But I'm not sure if it fit well with the overall tone. But as a political drama, I could see why it worked for some people. I don't know. That's just my subjective opinion. So
well, we can't have that, can we? No,
hey, at least it has something that the Disney live action remakes doesn't have.
Heart.
Yeah, Heart is one of them, but also it has some colors. And I meant the remastered footage.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe because it was shot on 35mm films. That's why it would probably look different with the digital cinematography of today.
Yeah, wow, it would be disturbing with Disney animated stuff. I'm just imagining it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the jokes I keep making is like, oh, I want to see a live action Chicken Little. And I sometimes bring it up just to troll people. Like, I know a mutual of mine who hates Chicken Little, and someone brought up the live action Disney remake, and I was like, does anyone want to see live action Chicken Little? And she was like, no, I don't want to see live action Chicken Little.
No, what we need is a live action Watership Down.
Oh yeah, in a style of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Yeah, that's another topic on the film, but Yeah, I definitely gonna invite you if I did a episode on Jonathan Livingston Seagull, because
Oh, sweet. I love that. Love the movie. Love the book. Love the story of the author, where like he went off one day after writing a book, and did a trip, and then when he came back, he was famous already. He didn't even know it.
wow, that's fascinating. Just a quick question. Have you seen this guy named Adam Zanzi or Adrian Zanzi video essay on Jonathan Livingston Seagull?
No, I haven't.
But yeah, he made a very passionate defense of that movie, and it's very fast. I'm not sure if I entirely buy it, but I find that his video very compelling, and I was very impressed how much research he has done. He even went far as going to the archive and get the screenplay, etc. Now that's the dedication.
Yeah. I mean, the way I've always seen that film is Jack Kerouac for kids on the road.
Interesting.
It's trying to find your place in the world,
When I read more into it, I was like, this is what the 2019 remake of Lion King should have been. Like, if someone actually want to do like a photorealistic CGI remake, then they should have done with the Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
It could be on a double bill with Chicken Little.
I mean, well, more like a hypothetical live-action Chicken Little, and with Zach Braff returning to voice Chicken.
Oh my goodness! So when you're envisioning this live-action Chicken Little, is it in the form of Marquis?
Maybe.
I mean, the rooster was probably the more convincing animal in that whole film.
If Marquis is kind of movie that animation fan would be pissed about, then yeah, definitely. I just want to say, I want to move. Maybe 10 years from now or 20 years from now, someone would who pretty much grew up watching like Disney live action remakes and decide to make a sort of a bizarre tribute to it, and at least try to see like what actually worked, and then turn that into a movie, much like how Robert Rodriguez made like Grindhouse movie based on like this really low quality shitty like
there's a movie
Grindhouse movie.
Oh, Machete Kills. I'm still mad that they never completed that. Like, I want to see what happened in space with Machete.
Yeah. It's like someone took the very shady side of the movie trend and then turned into some sort of like an art on its own. And I'm expecting in 20 years from now someone would at least try to say something positive about the current day flop, or at least make something meaningful out of it.
I mean, the more we enter the AI age, I don't know where the meaning's gonna come from, but yeah, I get what you're saying. It's kind of like a wish for live action Disney.
Actually, I'm developing a mockbuster wish, like a mockbuster movie that looks like it was like trying to capture the quote unquote popularity of Wish. Like it looks like it was just exist to just to hoping to get a quick buck out of people who wanted to see Wish.
Yeah, I mean it's a masturbation for nostalgia, essentially, to keep in the Marquis.
My mockbuster is something more looks like a Dingo Picture movie. Dingo Pictures.
Which ones are those?
So Dingo Picture is they're an animation studio in Germany that makes like very, very cheap, very low quality, like animated like movies based on like Disney property.
Like the Snow White and the Hungry Elves or whatever.
Different. They're even more crude than the Hungarian Snow White. Like,
oh, okay.
Everyone's like talk very stiff. It was like it's a very fascinating story on its own.
Okay, well, I've got something to look up now after I'm done with this call.
Right. So yeah. Let's see. Oh God, So yeah. So my 2D, animated show for late night adults version of Marquis. It's gonna be like a cutout animation. Well, sort of. In a sense, it's cut out in a sense that it looks like a Terry Gilliam animation, and everyone looks like a political cartoon characters. Very much something out of Roland Topor illustration, and I want to keep it cut out animation because I don't want people to compare my hypothetical vision with the John K. I don't really want to bother to pronounce his last name, but you know what I mean, the Ren and Stimpy guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to associate with him.
I love Ren and Stimpy though.
Yeah. I mean that's fine. I mean,
we've been talking about Roland Polanski too, and
yeah. I mean, look. Let's be fair. I mean, we talked about Roman Polanski, and why not talk about John K? I mean, like, I can see why. I think John K, his own obsession with to make it even more grotesque as possible. It kind of comes from he wanting to go further than Looney Tune, but then I feel like it's not there. Like the reason from what I heard,
the reason SpongeBob exists.
Yeah, and again, the reason why Ren and Stimpy worked because at least he had a writer, like a team of writers.
Oh yeah,
like, and they actually made the show work. Okay, I did watch like a couple of episodes of Cow and Chicken. You ever heard of Cow and Chicken?
Oh yeah, Cow and Chicken. Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy show.
That was produced under John K. I think it came from the same production company.
Oh wow, I did not realize that actually.
Isn't that why the animation style looks similar?
I'm not seeing the similarity in the anime. I mean, they're very different, like line weights and everything. Cow and Chickens seems more quickly produced, if you ask me.
Right.
Like there's a lot more care. But the subject matter, sure.
Oh yeah.
There's an entire one.
We'll make it like John K. Material. That's my personal limitation. Just keep it like paper cutout look.
Cool.
I mean, let's be fair. The original movie is very much it's a puppet movie. And, like everyone kind of behaved like a marionette, well, sort of. So I'm pretty sure that's like a one kernel of element that I would probably keep.
Right. I don't even know why John K was brought up, except not.
I mean, you mentioned Looney Tunes, so if people think about like I don't know, like a very grotesque animation, they're probably thinking of John K. And again, we just talked about Marquis de Sade and Roman Polanski. God.
Okay, well, let me give your reanimated Marquis the green light.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and hopefully I could. I mean, because originally it's in French and there are no English dubs so far, but I'm not sure if I could also I could produce an English dub version, but I don't know. Maybe if I actually try, I would, as long as I keep it very under, shoestring budget. But the main problem is like, how am I supposed to replicate the art style of Roland Topor? Because his is so distinct, and it's very impossible to replicate. It would be like trying to replicate Kentaro Miura's drawing. It's so detailed. As you can see.
Well, I mean, you could cut out the pictures you sent, and then give them flappy heads, like South Park.
Yeah, I mean that could work. That's the one way to cutting. Oh fuck! I forgot the phrase. Like cutting around. Oh yeah, cutting around the corner.
Corners.
Yeah. So yes, it might gonna air at like I don't know, like MTV or Toonami or like Adult Swim. It would like air alongside with Rick and Morty. Oh god, another animated show made by an abuser.
He's out of there.
Yeah, I mean he's no longer attached to Rick and Morty, but still, jeez. I mean, first we talk about Marquis Roman Polanski, Bill Cosby, John Kay, and now Justin Roiland. Oh dear, God, this is the podcast's first not safe for work episode. Too much content warnings.
I mean, but they make great stuff. Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, he fucking married his cousin. Like,
I know.
And look, okay, from what I heard, at least he tried to have a boundary set. He's aware that I don't know, that the world would see him weird if he married like his underage cousin. But at least from what I heard, that's why they sleep in a separate bed. But yeah, it's still weird.
You don't make great decisions when you're under the influence of alcohol.
I'm not sure if that was under the influence of alcohol, but
yeah, he was notorious drunk.
Oh right. He had an alcohol problem, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure when exactly, but still. So yes.
I think this would have gone well paired with the Spike TV version of Ren and Stimpy. During that time,
that Ren and Stimpy aired, and they had a reboot long time ago, and they aired in like different channel, but then it got canceled because John Kay didn't have the exact same writing team.
It was horrible, and the reason is they had no restrictions.
Right.
They had no cross, so they just kept going, and then it's like, well, this isn't funny. You're not giving me that thrill of reaching the edge and then pulling back.
It's one of those cases where not having restriction ended up, making things worse. I mean, people keep saying that, I think the studio executives should leave their filmmakers alone and let them do whatever they want since they know what they're doing. But then in some case where some of the decisions made by studio executive turns out make sense and has actually made the movie a lot better.
I mean, the reason is like you have to kind of be really creative to get away with the things that you're thinking about, if you have these restrictions on you. Otherwise, it's just like, first idea, that's what's on paper, that's where it goes.
I mean, again, this may be very subjective, but some decisions made by Jeffrey Katzenberg with a lot of his Disney or DreamWorks stuff, well, it makes sense. In some cases, just as some people have been being a petty assholes and not respecting some creative decisions that people make.
I don't know anything about it.
I don't like Jeffrey Katzenberg is the reason why we have like celebrity voice actors. Because, the whole trend started with Robin Williams voicing Genie when Jeffrey Katzenberg worked at Disney. And then Jeffrey Katzenberg left and then started his own studio and he made Shrek. Okay, before that, he just made some couple of animated movies. And that also had like a lot of celebrity voice actors, especially Prince of Egypt. And CGI animations began. And he brought in like Mike Myers and some pop music. And a lot of pop culture references.
Was he involved with like The Simpsons at all?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Who am I thinking of?
I don't know, James L. Brooke?
Maybe.
Right. Oh, I just
I know.
realized. And speaking of Jeffrey Katzenberg, doesn't it gives you like BoJack Horseman feel? I meant the Marquis, the movie Marquis. It kind of gives the BoJack Horseman, but set in 18th century France.
BoJack Horseman made me laugh and feel things.
Okay.
I can't say the same about Marquis.
I mean, I've seen people say that the reason why BoJack Horseman the reason why they like BoJack Horseman because it has everything that could only work as an animation, and it has everything that won't work as a live action. And Marquis has some stuff that BoJack Horseman has, and
well, yeah, the animals.
Yeah, especially the part about the anthropomorphic animals. And I would like to mention, and I should have mentioned this a bit earlier, the reason why they did that anthropomorphic animal because according to Marquis de Sade scholar, Marquis de Sade had this fascination with animals, and he compared like human desire with the animal desire, and that's why he made that keep making comparisons in his writing, and that's why everyone is an anthropomorphic animal in Marquis.
Well, you lose the bestiality angle then when everything's an actual animal.
Right. And I just realized the weird fucking thing. It has an actual horses, and one of the characters is a horse.
And a pigeon. And
right.
I don't imagine the lobsters talk.
Wait, did the lobster talk? I don't remember.
No.
Okay, never mind then. But yeah, they're fish. Some characters are fish as well.
Yeah, this is beautiful. I really appreciate the fish.
And a literal eyeball.
And a spider that turns into can dance.
Yeah, that actually claymation part was very impressive.
Yeah, I enjoyed the claymation a lot in most of those. And maybe that's because it was telling a different story usually.
It's one of those things where the stop motion segments is a lot more interesting than the rest of the movie, which I will admit. I mean, I watched this movie called Stop Motion. It came out I think last year or a few years ago. And so Stop Motion is about the stop motion animator trying to make his work while caring for her ailing mother, and she starts to have this, I don't know, how should I put it, like a psychological breakdown. And something that most stop motion animators go through, and we also see some bits from her project. It's a live action movie, like part live action, part stop motion, and I understand what the director tries to do. Like, this is not now, the director of this movie is Robert Morgan, and this is not the first time he's making a movie that is very self-reflective. Like, he had done like one short that is, and the tagline of that short is like the horror of being stop motion animator, or something like that. I believe the title is Invocation. And when I first time watching, I was expecting to be like, oh, I'm gonna be a contrarian and say this is the best movie I ever seen of that year. But then I'm watching it, I was like, it was okay. I mean, I find the stop motion segment to be more interesting than the rest. And same can be said about this movie called Lunacy, which was done by Jan Schwankmeyer and is also kind of related to Marquis de Sade. And I find the stop motion animation with the meat and all to be more interesting of the bunch. That's why I came through it and really didn't care much about the rest. Again, I was so tired. I was so depressed right after watching Quill, so I was like, oh, I'm so done.
Yeah, I went the opposite direction of you with my Marquis de Sade related things and watched the Bloody Pit of Horror, a 60s cheesy horror movie. It was quite fun to watch.
Yeah,
over the top acting, wild sets.
Bloody Pit of what? A Bloody Pit of Horror. Yeah,
Bloody Pit of Horror. It's not a good film, but
okay.
it's
Okay,
a B
it's made by
movie.
Italian. Okay, it's made by Italians, and I assumed that it was a Roger Corman production, but it wasn't.
I mean, I can see why you would think that, but
because
yeah.
Roger Corman adapted The Pit and the Pendulum, which is
his Edgar Allan Poe stuff was like excellent. You know,
right.
I've never seen a Roger Corman Edgar Allan Poe movie that I would have changed in any way.
Watch The Raven, the one with Vincent Price, and I also have had the file of the House of Usher, which is take on the fall of the House of Usher.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, actually, did you know that I adapted the fall of the House of Usher into a short film?
Oh, great! I have to check it out. You need
Right.
to
Yeah, I'll admit that it was probably the most depressing thing I ever made. I had a very psychologically troubled time when I made this. That's why everything's feel. I mean, I was like, I'm not gonna watch it again.
Well,
even if it's my own work, I was like, I'm not gonna go through this BS again. Anyway, so yeah, if I made a animated version of Marquis, even it's still vulgar as the original, but at least it's a lot more funnier. At least there's a lot of moments that makes you laugh.
Yeah,
but not in like a Looney Tune kind of way, just for like, oh, ha ha ha, this is so absurd. This is so wacky, like very dry, wacky. Like, oh, this character is in a very bizarre situation. Actually, that was like also the appeal of Roland Topor's Tenet. Like, oh, the main character is in a very wacky situation, and he couldn't get out. He's not in control of himself. It's so bizarre that you just can't help but laugh. And that was also the same thing with Roman Polanski movie. I didn't find that movie to be creepy. I just find it to be hilarious. Like, okay, spoiler for the Tenant. So the people at the apartment constantly gaslight him, and they try to make him like put, at least sort of indirectly, with more like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of way, try to put him in like a female dress, trying to make him think that he's the previous owner who committed suicide. And then it was like, oh, you want to see me dead? Okay, I'll jump off the window and go through like this glass roof. And then he jumped and tried to kill himself. And then after that, like, oh, I'm not dead, I'm gonna do it again. And then he do it again. And that part of it was kind of made me laugh. And by the way, the main character is also played by Roman Polanski. So if you don't like him, well, here's your like catharsis here.
Well, I mean, I feel like I should watch the Tenet now.
Right.
I do like Roman Polanski's films. He's a very good director.
She's beautiful as always. Oh, and also there's like a very small reference to Roland Topor illustration, and actually, according to Topor, Polanski asked him, "Oh, I want to include an Easter egg related to your work. Could you like draw me like a poster, like some, or any like a painting?" Like Topor is like, "Okay, sure." And there's like a fake movie poster, and I like in the middle of the movie, and I was like, "Wait, is this done by Roland Topor?" And I watched like a interview of him, and he admits that yeah, he was behind that movie poster.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I just realized the Tenet also has that like weird psychosexual imagery you would expect from Topor's illustration. And speaking of Isabelle Adjani, Topor was in Werner Herzog Nosferatu. I just remembered. Yeah, he played Reinfeld, the character Reinfeld.
Really? Wow.
Or at least, in the novel Dracula, he played the Reinfeld character. But in Werner Herzog Nosferatu, where they restored all the names from the original Bram Stoker novel, and he played that character who was is one of the like Dracula's underlings.
Yeah, I remember that movie being longer than I anticipated.
Yeah. Have you seen the Robert Egger remake? Like
no, I haven't.
Yeah, that was also great.
How about Shadow of the Vampire?
I need to see that one, but it's so strange how Willem Dafoe is now in 2 movies relating to Nosferatu.
I just think John Malkovich was great in that film.
Yeah,
he does good surreal kind of stuff.
Like
times
being John Malkovich.
Exactly. Speaking of puppets,
there's like one question I wanted to ask before any of us go. I already asked you that question before, but why people tend to associate like Muppet style puppetry or just puppetry in general with people who don't like animation or anything that is related to like tangentially related to like live action remake of animated material. Like, I mean, my previous co-host like made a reference to Muppet when she talked about how Lars von Trier and Jürgen Leth hating cartoon or something. But what do you think? As your perspective as an animator?
I don't share that perspective. Myself, I grew up with the Muppets and loved them. And I also loved animation. But, I mean, I can see that perhaps people are wanting performance, and maybe they don't see voice acting as much as performance as controlling, a puppet behind the scenes live. I mean, it's still technically live action at that point. Maybe that's it.
Maybe because I don't know. You sometimes see this Twitter thread or Blue Sky thread like, oh, name one movie, but have one live action actor, but the rest of them are Muppets. Much like they want to see like Muppets Christmas Carol again, but with different material. But again, I feel like Muppet Christmas Carol is just like a lightning in the bottle kind of thing. I don't know, they want that kind of nostalgia again, which is strange. You also have, like, I mentioned, like, Happy Time Murder, and that's the one where it didn't exactly work. Well, maybe there's a lot of reason why that movie didn't work.
As time goes on, things that used to be subversive become pedestrian. And, Muppets, they used to be, sort of on the edge there. And now they're just, part of like, oh yeah, we make movies with puppets that do disgusting things now.
And yeah, I remember I came across like one post on Blue Sky said that, oh, I think it would be more intellectual if they made a Muppet remake instead of live action remake. Things like that.
John Wick.
I mean, I don't know. Actually, I mean, the John Wick as a puppet doesn't sound bad, but okay. Oh yeah, Team America. The closest thing that would be Team America. The Team America World Police. Well, sort of.
Yeah, they had that like extended love making scene. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's the Marquis. So, just wondering. So, if you're gonna come back again, like we could, if we want to do another episode again besides Jonathan Living the Seagull, what movie would you like to bring in, and how are you gonna turn that into an animation?
Well, Santa Sangre by Jodorowsky is my favorite film. And I would have to think about how to reanimate that one, though.
Yeah.
I don't go into films watching them thinking how I would remake them usually.
Yeah. Actually, I need to finish watching Santa Sangre because so far it is amazing. It's very imaginative. So how should I put it? So wild.
It's weird, and it's blatant in its story. I mean, obvious, but it's also very profound and the kind of ideas that it presents about autonomy, identity, and
Trauma.
yeah, trauma. It's got a lot to it to sink your teeth into. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
there's an animation director that I know, and he's probably the closest thing for animation equivalent to Alejandro Jodorowsky. His name is Kuniko Ikuhara, and he produced the animated Revolutionary Girl Utena, Penguin Drum, and Yuri Kuma Arashi, and I don't know, it gave me that his work gave me that exact same feel that I had when I watched The Holy Mountain for the first time. It's probably because of his use of symbolism and using like story within stories and how they all wrapped up together by the end.
Okay. Yeah, I could see like there's this creator called Uzumaki. You know who I'm talking about?
I think you were talking about Junji Ito, or I think.
No, although Junji Ito, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how that would work with Santa Sangre though. But it's an Instagram person. Let me see if I can find him here real quick. I just think his visuals would go quite well with the surreal themes of Holy Mountain. Maybe I've got the name wrong. I've got the name wrong. I'll have to look it up and find it for you.
Yeah, I agree. I just realized that I really wish more animators watch like experimental movies and get some ideas from it. I noticed how like not many of them know who Jodorowsky is. I'm not sure if you sort of noticed that.
I know. I mean, I don't really hang out with a lot of animators. I come from like the music scene.
Ah, okay.
But and also software development. So
okay.
I found animation during COVID.
Okay, I think I kind of went that similar direction. Like when I made I think during the COVID-19, I thought I was gonna die. I was like, okay, at least I need to leave something behind, and I made my animation short. So
I didn't even think of animation as anything that I could possibly do. But then I got like Procreate on my iPad with the pencil, and it just made things fit together. And I wasn't even thinking that this is anything that I would spend any time doing. But then Adult Swim used to have this thing called the development meeting where you could call in and pitch ideas. And I pitched to them and they liked it. And so I was like, oh, this is what I should do.
I should do one of those. But all right, maybe I don't have a like a right to Marquis, but I could probably think of another story set in Bastille before the revolution, or the same mental asylum that Marquis de Sade was in, and make a funny animal cartoon, like cutout cartoon, and pitch it to the Adult Swim people, as long as David Zaslav isn't around.
Yeah. Well, when is that going to happen?
I don't know. you know,
And when the AI replaces Zaslav, that's when we'll be in a good place, I feel.
I don't know. The idea of AI CEO would be like a conglomerate company without CEO. It would be very strange. Like,
It's only fitting though. Like, you know, if you want to
right.
you want to go replace people, why don't you replace yourself as well?
Like it's like Caligula appoint his own horse as a general. I'm not sure if you know about this urban legend or something.
Tell me about it.
I don't know. That's what I heard. Like Caligula, the Roman emperor, he was so crazy. He appointed his own horse as a military general, or something like that. But I'm not exactly sure what the full context of it, and I just wanted to leave that.
He was just trying to do a production of Marquis.
Right. Maybe I should pitch a animated show about Caligula to the Adult Swim people. But with the tone of Marquis. But you know. So oh wow, I can't believe I stretched that long. I because around that time then people are just gonna be very tired. But you know what, Madzy? I'm glad to have you on here.
Oh yeah, it was fun. Thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your perspective on things, and you're very informed.
And to everyone who's planning to go out and protest, please be safe. You know, wear your goggle. You know, wear your mask. Don't bring your phone, or in case you do, put it on the airplane mode, and bring a bottle of water. You know, and have extra cash with you, but don't bring your wallet. Maybe with ID, I don't know, but please be safe.
Viva la revolution!
Yeah, viva la revolution! We are storming the Bastille with this one.
The whole country is the Bastille at this moment in time.
God.
Shit,
I mean,
well,
such a strange timing this episode is. I thought I gotta pick a Pride Month related, but then I'm like, oh hey, the anti-authoritarian protest is going on outside. This is rather fitting.
I mean, there were gay characters in Marquis.
Oh right. Like
very flattering fictions.
It is very unflattering.
But,
good to have you with us.
Thanks. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Be safe out there, and you know, keep on reanimating.
By the way, did you know that this podcast is not sponsored by Raytheon?
Darn it! All right, that's it. I'm out of here.
Anyway, see you around, Madzy.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye.